Tensions at the US-Mexico border are rising again, but this time, it's not about migration, it's about economics. Reports from the Washington Post, Reuters, and Bloomberg say Donald Trump is preparing new tariffs on several countries he claims are taking advantage of America. Surprisingly, Mexico, a longtime partner and neighbor, is now on that list. Sources close to the White House say Trump believes Mexico has grown too dependent on U.S. markets and needs to be reminded who sets the rules. His words sparked outrage in Mexico, where President Claudia Sheinbaum warned that if Washington imposes tariffs, Mexico will strike back. If the U.S. wants to play with fire, we won't just stand by, her administration said. Experts call it Mexico's boldest move in decades, given that over 80% of its exports go to the U.S. But analysts say Mexico's patience has worn thin. Since Trump's return to the White House in 2024, his policies have become less about protection and more about pressure. First China, then South Korea, Germany, Canada, and now Mexico. According to Politico, he's already asked for a plan to impose tariffs of 25–40% on Mexican goods, from auto parts to agriculture. The official reason for Trump's new tariffs is unfair competition and weak border control. But insiders say the real motive is political. He wants Mexico to take more responsibility for migration and tighten its southern border or face economic pressure. Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum responded firmly, telling Reuters, "We are not a suburb of the United States. We are an independent country with our own policy. And if Washington forgets that, we'll remind them." Her words sparked debate across both nations. American companies like Ford, General Motors, and Caterpillar quickly warned the White House that new tariffs could disrupt decades-old supply chains and raise U.S. prices. Still, Trump seems unmoved, determined to bring production home and show voters that America sets the rules again. Analysts say this clash runs deeper than tariffs. As China, India, and Brazil build new economic blocs, Mexico is slowly turning east too. Last summer, Sheinbaum met with Beijing to expand infrastructure and 5G cooperation, and even discussed joining China's Belt and Road Initiative as an observer. Washington was quick to react, viewing Mexico's growing ties with China as a betrayal of regional trust. According to The Economist, Trump's team is increasingly worried that Mexico is opening its ports to Chinese firms and giving them tax breaks, turning into Beijing's foothold on America's southern border. Analysts say this fear sparked the current standoff. In response, Mexico is preparing countermeasures. El Financiero reports that the plan includes raising tariffs on U.S. goods and limiting American access to energy and construction contracts, including freezing U.S. participation in Pemex and CFE projects. President Claudia Sheinbaum's office is also considering settling some U.S. trade in pesos instead of dollars to cut financial dependence. Meanwhile, Mexico has begun talks with Brazil, Argentina, and Chile about forming a Latin American trade bloc to counter U.S. pressure. For now, it's mostly symbolic, but even the idea has rattled Washington. Experts warn this could become the biggest crisis in North American relations since the NAFTA era. If both sides impose sanctions, it would hit workers and industries on both sides of the border. Prices in the U.S. could rise, and Mexico might face investor pullouts and a weaker peso. But as Bloomberg notes, the world is no longer intimidated by Trump's tariff threats. Many countries are now willing to take risks to show independence. And for Mexico, this could be the moment that defines whether it chooses stability or stands tall for dignity. Sources close to Claudia Sheinbaum's administration say the decision has already been made. Mexico no longer fears Washington. The phrase quickly spread across social media, symbolizing a new national stance. But analysts warn the situation is riskier than it seems. Reports from The Guardian and Le Monde suggest some in the U.S. Congress want to tie Mexico to a new trade deal with political conditions, from border control to defense cooperation, a new NAFTA shaped by Trump. Fearing a loss of sovereignty, Sheinbaum has begun talks with business leaders to shift Mexico's exports toward South America and Europe. Early deals with Spain, Italy, and India include tariff cuts and investment pledges, signaling the start of Mexico's move to reduce dependence on the U.S.